and welcome to the Vogue Business and OPSEC Masterclass series on brand integrity and authenticity, how to exceed consumer expectation. I'm Lucy Maguire, Trends Editor at Vogue Business. Throughout the 5 episodes of this series, I'm joined by brands from fashion and luxury to discuss brand integrity and authenticity. This week's episode, I'm joined by James Hendy, General Manager of Authentication at eBay. Thank you, James, for joining us today.
Hi, Lucy. Thanks for having me.
So most people know eBay, but the platform's definitely evolved a lot in recent years. Can you explain a little bit more about where eBay is today and what its focus is as a business?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, eBay, I joined eBay 5 years ago, so it's kind of a good transitional period in terms of how the business has moved. eBay has always been that place where people go to look, to research, obviously to purchase. But specifically in the area of luxury, there's always been a little bit of apprehension around the product that you're getting, often buying the seller rather than the product, looking at their feedback scores, deciding on, is this someone I can trust? Can I make a purchase here and feel comfortable with it? So trust has always been a question mark. And really in the last few years, this program Authenticity Guarantee, which I run, has really transitioned us from being the marketplace where people came to browse to the marketplace where people come to actually transact. So that introduction of Authenticity Guarantee has been a significant shift in terms of the way that eBay is focusing.
That's interesting. And do you want to break down a little bit more about the Authenticity Guarantee and what your role entails within that part of the organization?
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent 20 years prior to eBay working in the fine art and auction world with many of the big auction houses. So I came in specifically to look at trust within specific categories of eBay. What were the barriers to people transacting? What was the perception of eBay? And quite frankly, before I was at eBay, I was very aware of eBay, but I didn't use eBay, and a lot of my clients didn't use eBay. When I first came in, I was blown away by the scale. Like we're huge in any of the given categories. We're one of the market leaders in terms of volume and average sale price, but there's still the perception that this is eBay and it's not necessarily where I'm going to buy my Chanel bag or my Rolex watch. However, we sell an awful lot of them. So looking at the business from the outside was fantastic. Coming in and seeing the size of it and seeing these barriers to people actually transacting, we were able to look at it very closely and say, okay, what do people want? They want to come and buy items, feel very confident in them. So the introduction of this Authenticity Guarantee, which we started with watches, we rolled to sneakers, and subsequently to handbags, has enabled people to actually acquire items knowing that a third party will check those items before it arrives with them. And then on the seller side, it protects the seller on any bad buyer behavior, someone returning something other than the item they got. We also intermediate the return for the seller. So it's really transformed eBay from both the buy side and the sell side.
Yeah, absolutely. And, luxury resale is definitely booming at the moment, and consumers are a lot more receptive to that than they used to be. But I guess without that authenticity and that guarantee that you provide, people might go to stores or buy away from resale, which is not what we want. We want, things to be more circular. So it definitely makes sense. But what do you find is the biggest challenge when it comes to authentication? I know there's many ways of doing it, and different organizations approach it in different ways when trying to guarantee that a product has provenance.
Yeah, look, and we've spent a lot of time researching and bringing in various different industry experts to really form what we believe is a market-leading authentication program, and that's been done in 2 significant ways. Where we've felt that it's best to go to the best, i.e., in the world of watches, for example, we work with a company called Stolen Company. They've been around for 30 plus years. They're a service center, so they're not a seller or a retailer. They're a service center, so they focus on the mechanics of servicing luxury watches. And they have a huge business just providing service to a lot of the top brands in the world. So we worked with them, and we worked with multiple others, shortlisted it down, went with them because of their pedigree, because of the respect from the community. We spoke with a lot of our big sellers, and everyone was very, very much behind this particular company. But they have the industry expertise. So rather than us going and just finding watchmakers and building it ourselves, it made a lot more sense to go with a very credible brand, which really helped us in terms of introducing this to a lot of our big sellers, where we were able to say, look, Yes, it will add a couple of days to the shipping, but it's going to add credibility. They felt comfortable with this brand because they were very aware of it. So in areas like watches, mechanical item, we felt that it was best to go with the best in industry. Same with sneakers. You know, we looked for partners in the sneakers, again, with the parameters being we didn't want it to be a seller. So there was no conflict of interest where a seller on eBay could say, hey, Lucy, you're also a seller. Why are you authenticating my goods? We really wanted it to be independent. So we met with SneakerCon, who were really known for their events, but at their events, they carried out authentication, which was one of the big draw cards. And we worked with them to scale up and now into 5 countries, 6 different facilities, a team of authenticators where they have in-house training. And subsequently in December, you know, we were able to acquire that business and bring it into eBay. So we've taken that path to work with external partners where necessary. And then for handbags, as you would know, the handbag space is pretty fragmented. You know, there aren't gemological institutions or watchmakers. You know, there's a lot of people who are passionate about handbags, and there are people who authenticate handbags. So we actually took the view that we would build that in-house, and it was a first for eBay. We now have 9 authenticators who were all trained in-house. We brought in independent experts. We put together a full multi-month journey to train. And those people, some of them had done this for many, many years. Some were net new from the luxury world. And we've been able to train them up, and we continue to train them and continue to test them and introduce new brands, new guides to them. So we've really sort of covered all gamuts dependent on the category that we go into.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess once you've got all of these authentication capabilities in place, that's one part of the journey. But how do you then build consumer trust around that? How do you communicate that to the consumer so that they come to eBay for their luxury purchases?
Yeah, look, that's a great point. And, you know, for many years, we've seen, I mean, if you look back at the last 7 or 8 years, so many competitors have come about, and every single one of them that's arrived has arrived through a lead message, which is authentication, right? It's like, hey, this is real, or this is authentic, or this is 100% authentic. So really, we at eBay, although we've been big for a long time, we've kind of reinvented ourselves through Authenticity Guaranteed to say, hey, like, we've always been around, but those people who perhaps had the wrong perception or had this trust issue have been able to come on the platform now and see that it's clearly called out. When you're looking at items, you know, we have this blue check, Authenticity Guarantee. We've created amazing content to show people this is a process carried out by industry experts. You know, your watch is going to be in great hands. It's going to be checked. It's going to have a multi-point check to it. The same with sneakers. You know, everything is being checked. And we've been really clear to the customer to show them how detailed our program is, being very transparent about it in terms of we're trying to be the best and we're setting a very high bar, and we want you to be aware of it so you feel that there is complete trust. And that also counts for the seller, because if you're selling on our platform, if you're selling something, Lucy, and you list one of your handbags on our platform, and there's a big seller who's, you know, sold 100,000 handbags, previously it was difficult for you. You know, you're trying to compete against big sellers on a big platform. Now the playing field's been leveled because you'll have that same check mark, because every handbag above $500 has that check mark. So whether you're a big seller or a small seller, it means that the consumer can see that it doesn't really matter anymore because a third party is going to check that item. So it's really opened eBay up to consumers who otherwise wouldn't have considered the platform, or who would have shopped the seller rather than the product. So it's really enabled us to broaden the number of people on the platform. It's enabled us to drive more credibility within the industry.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I guess with any resale platform, you know, it's only as good as its inventory, and to get great inventory, you need great sellers. So building out the seller journey like that, it's definitely, you know, would be beneficial. That's great. And also I wanted to ask, you know, what has the response been to this since you brought in the authentication? You know, you mentioned watches, then sneakers, then handbags. Have you seen a direct knock-on effect as soon as these authentication systems have been brought in place?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been quite remarkable, because I think one of the caveats I gave when I first came in, we talked about this. I was like, look, we're going to solve for making sure that people can trust our platform. In terms of like growing the business, like, let's see, you know, we need to build the trust first. It's foundational, and it also is foundational to us doing other great creative things, which we'll talk about. But what we have seen is absolutely, we've seen double-digit growth in all three of these categories. And what's super interesting is we've seen that the actual customer who is shopping on eBay, so a customer shopping for a watch, all of our watches over $2,000 go through this program. And actually a watch purchase, if someone is buying a watch at around $9,000, they're also spending an additional $8,000 on multiple other things on eBay that are nothing to do with a watch. So it's a win-win, that halo effect. The same with a handbag buyer. A handbag buyer buying a handbag over $500 is also spending an additional $2,000 on our platform. So these are things that are amazing, and it's the same for sneakers. So we're bringing in people who are seeing this and trusting it, but it's also creating more trust across other verticals on the platform. So that's a real bonus. And as I say, it's double-digit growth across the categories. And it's enabled us to introduce other things. It's foundational. So once you have a customer and they trust you, then you can have fun with introducing, like we've got 3D imaging for sneakers, which is amazing, right? Like you can list your sneaker, you can create through our app a 3D rotational, so you can actually almost virtually experience that shoe. There's not a lot of point in investing in that sort of cool, fun stuff if people are not trusting your platform. So it's really enabled us to go to the next level, bringing in things like escrow for high value payments in the watch space over $10,000. Again, as the business is growing and our average sale price within a luxury category is going up, we can introduce additional things, escrow being one of those.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And it's like you say, having that brand, that link to authenticity in every part of the business will just increase people's brand fidelity with eBay as a brand and as a business, and that halo effect is really interesting. It's something I hadn't thought about before. So clearly the luxury segment is a priority for eBay at the moment, and it's clear that luxury resale is booming for various platforms. Why do you think it is that consumers are gravitating towards luxury resale, and particularly younger consumers actually?
Yeah, look, that's a great question, Lucy. And I think there's a couple of things there. I think there's supply, right? Like it's often hard to get a lot of these luxury brands, whether you're on a wait list at Chanel or a wait list with Rolex, it can be hard to get these, or a drop for a pair of sneakers. So people are looking to the secondary market to get the items that they want that they otherwise will find hard to get. I think the other piece is this sort of alternative asset class, right? A lot of people and a lot of younger generation are very interested in the idea of like not just collecting, but having things that they like to own that they know will appreciate in value. So whether that's buying a pair of Nikes that they couldn't otherwise get and they can hold for 4 or 5 months and those will appreciate in value, or whether it's buying a Rolex on the secondary market they can't get at retail, with many Rolexes now with a short supply going for multiples of retail, it's a really good investment for people. So I think there's those two things that really do drive a lot of consumer behavior, and we at eBay really enjoy that because it drives a lot of traffic to the site.
Absolutely. I think that really chimes as well, particularly with the younger generation, with the boost in their financial literacy. They're more clued in about investment in general, and whether that's investing in clothes or cryptocurrency, there's a real sort of trend bubbling up amongst the younger people that they want to be financially liberated in some way and be in control of their finances, even from a young age.
Oh, it's amazing. The number of friends of mine who have teenage children who quite literally are investing in sneakers. They know way more about sneakers than I do. They're buying sneakers. They're usually buying 2 pairs at a time. They buy a pair to wear and a pair to hold. They're on every single app to try and get hold of inventory, and they're running side businesses whilst they're going through school, which is just amazing. But it's a generational thing. I think, to your point, this younger generation really are fully aware of the opportunities that these different categories present for them.
Absolutely. Well, that's all that we have time for, but thank you so much, James, for your time. It's been great to talk to you today.
Well, thank you, Lucy. It's been great to be on the show. Thank you.
And for those watching at home, join us for our next episode, where we will continue to explore brand integrity and authenticity, how to exceed consumer expectation. There will also be a full report that you can register to download at the end of the series. Goodbye.